Hi, welcome everyone. Mercedes has only recently unveiled the latest generation of the CLA, and I think that on this occasion it would be a very good idea if we did a bit of soul searching and together with Mikau considered whether the previous generation really turned out well for them. And the occasion is perfect because we have the sportiest version of it right here. I warmly invite you.
Hello everyone, I'm Michał. I came to you from Nowy Targ and this is my car, a Mercedes CLA Aufrecht Melcher Großaspach in the 45S version with a shooting brake body. I've had the car for 18 months, driven about 40,000 kilometers, and it was my dream. When choosing, it had to be a station wagon, it had to have a powerful engine in the 45S version. We have a few changes compared to the regular version. First of all, we have large bumper intakes. Here we actually have a radiator. On the other side, it's covered a full Panamericana grille. I actually wrapped it in black. Originally it was silver. We have black emblems, and under the Mercedes emblem there's also Distronic. The car is equipped with the Aufrecht Melcher Großaspach aerodynamic package, so we have these lower splitters, and my car also has multi-beam LED headlights. As for the brakes themselves, we have a 6-piston brake caliper here, a stabilizer, 360mm discs. The wheels have a very large camber because we have 2.30 degrees here, so they are quite tilted. CLA is characterized by being equipped with frameless windows both at the front and at the rear. When it comes to the rear of the vehicle, compared to the 35, we have a different bumper extension. We have 4 exhaust tips, you could say, because we have 4 tips on the bumper, and underneath there are 2 mufflers. LED taillights, sealed bumper intakes, a wing, a spoiler, and originally a lower spoiler in the aero package. Emblems are now glossy black. The Mercedes badge includes a reversing camera underneath. I chose the best version and added my own ideas to make the car exactly how I want it. So this is the result of all that. As for the engine itself, we have a 2-liter gasoline unit here with 421 horsepower and 500 Newton meters of torque. At this point, the car already has 130,000 kilometers on it. The previous owner also drove it a lot over a year and a half, around 90,000 kilometers. As for my upgrades, we have a race chip GTS controller here in the black version, which increased the power to almost 480 horsepower and 580 Newton meters of torque. There's also a BMC air filter insert added, which makes the intake suck in air very loudly. The sound effect is nice, but you mainly notice the difference when driving. The car has a twin-scroll turbocharger. We can also see a strut bar here, and the car is also equipped with electronically controlled Aufrecht Melcher Großaspach suspension. As for reliability, in my opinion, the engine is totally trouble-free. You just need to do basic maintenance. The oil change interval is around 8,000, and that's the recipe for a successful drive. If we drive in race mode, we push it as hard as we can. 20 liters is definitely achievable if you drive normally in the city. You'll get around 11-12 liters, and if you do some light revving from light to light, it shows 15. But the highway driving can be surprising here, because up to speeds of around 160 km/h, this engine can consume about 8-9 liters. When I was driving this car to college myself at around 90 km/h, on the routes between Nowy Targ and Nowy Sącz, my fuel consumption was about 6.59 liters with a record low of 5.6 liters. But that's really just feathering the gas. Now, after just the race chip, we're getting an average of 10-11 liters per 100 kilometers. The car is also equipped with a 360-degree camera system, which is important for the 45S version with the aerodynamic package. Since the bumper is very low, we have sensors and a camera here. When we approach the curb at low speed, the screen on the dashboard turns on and the parking sensors detect the curb. How much closer can we get? So there's a good chance we won't damage the bumper itself. The engine comes from the Aufrecht Melcher Großaspach factory in Affalterbach. One Mercedes engineer said that Mercedes oversees the engine itself. It originally has a forged crankshaft and the block is also closed from the factory, so it's a very reinforced unit with high durability.
My dear friends, the partner of this episode is Wehispel, which is a car platform where more than 10,000 new and used cars are available. The platform cooperates with dealers of all brands, from the popular ones to the most expensive, and with the code ZAKAROFF you'll get a discount on where his. Applying an extra 1% discount means, for example, a 200,000 zloty car gets an additional 2,000 zlotys off on top of the discounts shown on the wehis.pl website. You can select a car, calculate installments, get financing approval, and sign the contract completely online, or choose to work with an advisor if you prefer a traditional approach. Check the description where you'll find a link to thousands of cars that you can lease, okay?
We're in the car, and in front of us is a flat-bottomed steering wheel with Alcantara and leather on top and bottom. With the driving mode adjustment, we can switch from comfort to sport to race mode. We can also change the suspension modes and switch to full performance paddle shifters. We already control these features with physical buttons, illuminated air vents, and all the trim pieces here. In my version, which is the model after 2021, because this is already the end of 2021, the center tunnel lighting and the seat lighting are gone. We have the Android Auto system here, but unfortunately we still have to connect the phone with a cable. We have a wireless charger. The car is already equipped with the accessory audio system from Germany. The tweeters and door speakers have been replaced and an amp with a subwoofer added in the trunk. What's our next step? The doors, A, B, and C pillars, trunk lid, trunk floor, and sills are all soundproofed. This is the basic version of the sport seats. They're very comfortable. The stronger version, in my opinion, was too hard. So for long stretches of driving, it would be uncomfortable for me. But here, it's perfectly fine. As for the seat belts themselves, they're red, and that's also an original accessory. In this vehicle, the previous owner chose a black headliner so we can feel both very comfortable and sporty. Also, as for the panoramic roof itself, it can be fully opened or just tilted.
I'm 2 meters tall, and I'll say right away that even though the car isn't very big, at least for the driver, it offers enough space. Because I was able to adjust myself to the steering wheel without any problem, and I really appreciate the wide range of steering wheel adjustment here. Look how far you can pull it out, both towards yourself and upwards. But also, this particular cockpit layout doesn't take away any knee space here. As for the headroom, I can't say there's much left, maybe 1 finger at most, but let's say I don't have to slouch. As for creaking, nothing feels like it's about to break. It's soft here and doesn't creak. Up here it's also soft, nice, with red stitching, no creaking, and here the screen moves, but it doesn't creak. Similarly, these protruding parts, this is usually a very weak point, meaning the air vents stick out a lot, and there's a lot of foam and soft touch material around. So if anything is going to creak, it's right here, and indeed, it creaks a little bit. On the left, it's quiet. You can squeeze something out of this one too. The center tunnel also moves a bit, but without any loud noises. The armrest on the right is so-so, and the one on the left is so-so too. Here I have to praise the steering wheel, just like Mikhail did, because it's really well designed. It's still very analog, and at the same time it has a very interesting shape, and visually it's done perfectly. But it's also designed in a way that lets us see the screen in front of the driver perfectly, because the rim at the top is shaped so that there's plenty of space here. Even when we turn the steering wheel slightly in curves, the entire screen is always in front of us. Ow. Alright, my friends. I had a feeling it would be like this, but trying to take a seat in the back ended in failure. Because I don't even have enough space to close the door. When I close the door, the handle crushes my knee between the handle and the seat. To travel comfortably, I'd need the door open if that's allowed. However, surprisingly, I still have enough space above my head. Actually, I have just as much as I did when I was the driver, so in that regard, I'm very pleasantly surprised. But for my knees, as you can see,
we open the trunk from the badge level. It offers 505 liters of space, expanding to 1,370 liters with the seats folded. And as I mentioned, there's an added subwoofer from Focal. I'll put only the essentials in here. There's also an organizer with a small detailing kit. The amplifier is under the trunk floor. As for the trunk itself, it's still fully functional for everyday use, despite the additions I've made. Just a fun fact. There's also a speaker under the floor that supports the exhaust system. Now listen to how the exhaust sounds with the valves open and closed.
Maybe let's start the test drive with a bit of background, because you've already been in this park in your thoughts many times.
Ever since technical school, I watched videos, so you could say, well, basically always. So now it's a bit of a shock, because I can actually be here now with my own Mercedes Aufrecht Melcher Grossasbach. So, a lot of joy.
You have something to show, and it's not like you just took it off the shelf, but it's specifically tailored for you because you did a lot in it, so it's even more pleasant to present it like that. Not just the result of a purchase, but also a certain work, one that looks exactly as you dreamed and specified.
As mentioned earlier, I come from a family of car enthusiasts. Since middle school, my parents, especially my mom, would take me to car shows. 4 a.m. In Slovakia, we're heading to Subaru, Stretko, Tatras, Subaru, yes. Back then, we had a Lanos event. It was a 2-liter diesel, but it was great thanks to the WRX package and bucket seats. Awesome car, I have great memories of it.
It's odd to hear great and diesel together.
Yeah, they had their, you could say, issues. Back when we had them, did it ever happen to you? No, it never happened. The car used little fuel, drove well, and being a diesel was just typical for that era. Later, there was the Golf 7 in the airline version, also a really nice car. I had the Sirocco, then we had the Levorg, and now it's the next stage. I want to have something that's really mine, something powerful. Then the 421 horsepower Mercedes arrived.
I need power, yes.
I need more power. It's a little low. This car is tuned so well for high revs, but it lacks some low-end power. Now, in comfort mode, you can really feel the difference. It pulls differently from the bottom. And there was a chance. We saw that there are power extra boxes from Brabusco for the A-Class with this engine, so there's potential. So that's where this race chip came in.
Yeah, it really pushes you without the need to rev up, exactly.
There's also a twin-scroll turbocharger. It kind of saves it at the lower revs, right? It does save it, well, don't exaggerate.
But I understand, well, you can always, I mean, it's a matter of time spent with a certain amount of power. That's always the case. When switching test cars, I always have to remember I'm getting into Odra. Okay, it works, but I just switched from something 2 or 3 times more powerful. Obviously, you adjust to the car, and at some point when you buy a fast car, it turns out that putting a roof box on it isn't such a stupid idea or anything fancy. Because simply the car just doesn't shock you that much anymore every time you start. Yeah.
Especially since after the vehicle analysis system update here, the engine controller is locked, so no box is really the only right solution if you want to make any stronger modifications. Whatever was supposed to be done during the previous owner's warranty period was done, something with the manifold, ignition coils, things like that. And besides that, like I said, the engine itself is reliable. I also changed the spark plugs in it. Well, that interval has to be more frequent. But when it comes to driving itself, for me, it's perfectly fine for everyday use. You just have to get used to the fact that you won't be able to drive over curbs, because there's no chance.
I'm noticing now that it generates quite a lot of vibrations, both inside and outside. When it's running, it sounds, I wouldn't say exactly like a diesel, but not quite either.
It vibrates. Well, the engine's characteristics are such that it likes to rattle a bit because its construction is what it is. On this Aufrecht Melcher Grossasbach Petronas oil, you could say it quieted down a bit, but the vibrations are still there. And you could say, just like when I was looking for a CLA, it's important that the car hasn't been tampered with. This car came at a time. These cars, these models came at a time when a lot of them were sent to other countries. They were used as rentals. I drove some with around 50,000 miles and they were already worn out. They jerked, the transmission was beyond repair. Well, here I got lucky because the car was mainly driven on highways, only highways you could say, so it's not heavily worn out. In this 4MATIC Plus drive system, up to 100% of the torque can be transferred to one wheel. You can feel that this car sometimes likes to gently slide out because even in drift mode, which it has here, you could say it doesn't want to go fully sideways, but it does throw the rear out a bit. And it really grips those corners fiercely, especially if it's in race mode. Then the whole character of the car changes and you can feel that it's stiff.
Comfort, Sport, Sport Plus, race mode too, but we'll cover that later. So it's definitely louder, the revs are higher, and it's louder because it also sounds louder, right?
Yes, it sounds louder, but also the valves opened, and there are pops from the exhaust system. After the race chip, they increased a bit more, even during downshifts, somewhere there, when the engine is warmed up.
I'm driving in third gear, I press it and it drops down to third. Okay, there's a bit of popcorn, let's put it into fourth. Yeah, let's put it into fourth. Oh, there we go, it's in fourth, and now from fifth to third, and there it goes, just a little bit. I caught it right when it was shifting from fourth to fifth, and I floored it right away. It hesitated a bit, but then it shifted down to third. But, well, the revs from 3,000 and up, that's already full combat readiness, exactly, but it holds up nicely. It started to rain and we wanted to measure the acceleration soon, but maybe we still can.
I think we have a tire like that.
That will handle it. Plus, he's still a rookie.
Only Rain Sport, not Royale. The 50 should work fine.
The guy took off. Thanks. Well, there's zero resistance on the steering wheel, very obedient, but the car itself, probably the weakest link in this situation with the wet asphalt was the contact between the tire and the asphalt. Exactly, because as we'll see in a moment how this tire handles. When it comes to going straight, yes, in the turn it maybe didn't slip, but it was scraping the asphalt enough that our maneuver, which I thought would be really sharp, it kind of got a bit blurred and smoothed out, and you could say that not much really happened. My dear friends, and here's the result for acceleration to 100. We have 4.05 here. Interestingly, the car can also measure this on its own. We got 4.02, so the results are really close, and the factory results should actually be around exactly 4 seconds. What matters is we have 2 people on board. After all, we have a soundproofed, insulated, and therefore additionally weighted car, and yet, even after adding boxes and various other upgrades, it still gives us a weighted result. The catalog performance, so to speak, set by the manufacturer is also maintained despite the significant extra weight. I have to say, if you can even hear me, that just 15 minutes ago I was asking myself why, when you already have 421 horsepower, would you add a box and get even more? Yes, after measuring the acceleration to 100, I came to the conclusion that it was a consequence of what you did earlier, meaning you soundproofed this car and added weight to it. Adding the box basically brought you back to the factory setting, and at the same time you have a car that doesn't creak or make noise and you hear exactly what you want. The best experience is really when you press the gas harder on a faster road, because then, as you rev higher and higher, 5, 6, up to 7, it starts to hit, it fills the whole car, the right sound. And secondly, that flow of power never ends, and that's why it's kind of provocative. Now I feel it more and more that just cruising around the city doesn't really answer the question of what kind of car this is. And even driving faster or accelerating hard, somewhere around, let's say, city speeds, let's call it around 70 or so, it still doesn't quite answer the question of what kind of car this is. But when we have a wide, long, straight road ahead of us and we push it up to 90 plus, that's when we really feel that surge of power accompanying those revs. It's not a coincidence the first owner did 90,000 miles on the road.
Not exactly. It performs well on the highway.
a fulfilled dream, which he shows both to the camera and to any random driver who happens to stop by for a moment, that it was worth striving for.
Now it's about moving forward, with the next dream being the C63S. So let's wait a bit longer, maybe it will get cheaper. And in the wagon version, it's a beautiful car with a lot of power.
All right, Michel, thanks for showing us the car. We're heading back now.
Thank you very much as well for the opportunity to come here, because as I always say, I've been watching for a long time, so another dream has come true.
Thank you very much.
Thank you as well.
Thank you for watching this episode. Remember to subscribe. See you in the next videos. Bye.
Bye.